I was making coffee when my phone buzzed. It was a video message from Mrs. Langford, our old neighbor. I hadn't heard from her in years. Just seeing her name brought back memories I thought I had forgotten. The message was short, no hello, no explanation, just one sentence. I'm so sorry about your parents. I can't believe what I saw today. My stomach dropped. I opened the video. It showed a church, St. Albans. I knew it well. My parents used to take me there for Christmas Eve when I was little. The camera zoomed in on two people at the podium, my parents. My mom wore black lace and pearls, pretending to cry. My dad looked serious, holding a paper with shaky hands. Behind them was a casket. Next to it, a large framed photo of me, surrounded by flowers. I froze. No. Then I heard my dad's voice. She was always troubled, but we loved her, we did everything we could. I couldn't see clearly anymore. He was reading a eulogy. My eulogy. Though she left this world too young, we pray her soul finds peace. What? I wasn't dead. I was standing in my apartment, alive, breathing, shaking. This couldn't be happening. I rewound the video and watched it again and again. Their faces didn't change. Their voices didn't sound sad. They were calm. Like they were acting. I grabbed the kitchen counter, my hands trembling. What is going on? I whispered. Why are they doing this? I hadn't spoken to my parents in years, not since they cut me off and disowned me. But this, holding a fake funeral for me? As I watched, I felt colder and colder. My mom spoke about a terrible accident. But there was no accident. My dad talked about me spending my last years alone. That wasn't true either. I was alive, working, trying to get by. They knew, they had to know. So why pretend I was dead? I sat down, still holding my phone. The video kept playing. It ended with a shot of the people at the funeral, relatives, old family friends, even my childhood piano teacher. They were all there. All dressed in black. All thinking I was gone. No one, not one person, tried to reach me. I watched the video again, just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. But I wasn't. They hadn't just cut me off. They erased me. They buried me alive. And in that moment, I realized the awful truth. This wasn't some mistake. It was on purpose. Things weren't always like this. I used to believe family meant love and loyalty. But that belief broke 3 years ago, the day I was thrown out like garbage. The truth is, I didn't steal the money. Sarah did. My younger sister. The favorite, the one who could do no wrong. She stole almost $80,000 from the family business. She was careless, living a lifestyle she couldn't afford. When the money disappeared, they needed someone to blame. And I was the easy target. I still remember what my mom said to me in the kitchen, better one ruined daughter than two. And my dad wouldn't even look at me when he said, "You embarrassed us, you're not our daughter anymore." The next morning, I was gone. No money. No explanation. Just silence. I tried to call, I texted, I wrote letters. Nothing. They blocked me. I reached out to old family friends, but they all ignored me. One by one, the people I had known shut their doors. I became a ghost. Not just to my family, but to everyone. So I left. I moved to another country. Got a job in a cafe. Changed my number, stayed quiet. I didn't post online, I barely said my name. But deep down, I still hoped. I hoped someone, anyone, would call. That they'd say it was all a mistake. That never happened. Instead, something worse did. Last year, I tried to log into my old email. But it didn't work. When I contacted support, they told me my account was shut down because I had been reported as dead. My name was listed as deceased in their system. Officially. Digitally. Completely. My parents didn't just cut me off. They made it like I never existed. That night, I couldn't sleep. The video kept playing in my head, their fake sadness. Their voices. My face next to a coffin I had never seen. My own funeral. Without me. Something felt wrong. So I started looking for answers. First, I called Aunt Rachel, my mom's older sister. We hadn't talked in years, but she used to sneak me candy at family parties. She picked up after 2 rings. "Hello? Aunt Rachel, it's me, it's Maya." Silence. Then, click, she hung up. I called again. Blocked. Then I tried my cousins. One just sent a thumbs up emoji and never replied. Another said, "Is this some kind of sick joke?" No one believed it was really me. Except one person. Sam, my youngest cousin. He always looked up to me when we were kids. He messaged me back, a little unsure. "Maya, are you really alive?" "Yes, I need to know the truth. What did they tell everyone? He took a long time to respond. Then he typed, they said you died in a car crash overseas, 3 years ago. I felt sick. They made up a whole story. Said it happened while I was traveling. That it was too late to bring me back. Said I was cremated, closed casket. But it was all a lie. There was no crash. I'd never even owned a car while living abroad. Something in me snapped. I pulled out every document I had, passport stamps, rental papers, immigration forms. I had proof. I had never been in an accident. I had never disappeared. So I went online to check official records. And there it was. Maya Dekwa, date of death, July 16th, cause, road accident, status, deceased, certificate ID, ARF 91327. They had faked my death certificate. I stared at the screen, frozen. This wasn't grief. This wasn't a mistake. This was a cover-up. But why? Why would my own family do something like this? I should have stopped there. But once you find out your family buried you alive, you can't stop. You have to find out why. I found the answer in a place I hadn't checked in years, Sarah's Instagram. She made her account public again. And there it was, a bunch of fancy wedding photos. White roses, champagne. A huge diamond ring. Sarah's wedding. Everyone was there. Aunt Rachel, smiling like she hadn't just hung up on me. My cousins, laughing and clinking glasses. Even great Uncle Theo, who never came to anything. But not me. No one mentioned me. No photo. No, wish Maya could have been here, comment. It was like I didn't exist. Then I saw something that stopped me cold. In one photo, during a wedding speech, Sarah's husband was smiling. And right next to him, my dad. Holding a wine glass. Speaking into a microphone. Smiling. The caption read, to the one daughter who always made us proud. That was it. They hadn't just forgotten me. They replaced me. Curious, I searched the family business registry, a few clicks, and my blood went cold. The trust fund my grandparents had left for me, college, startup money, everything, was transferred to Sarah 6 months after my death. Legally, quietly. She didn't mourn me, she profited off me. I stared at her smiling face, white dress sparkling in the sun, and it hit me, my sister didn't just replace me. She erased me. Enough was enough. If they wanted me dead, they were about to see just how alive I really was. The next morning, I walked into a law office with a stack of documents and a fire in my chest. Passport stamps, employment contracts, tax filings, lease agreements, flight records. Proof, unshakable, unforgivable. The young attorney across the desk looked stunned. You're challenging your own death? I slid the forged certificate across the table. I'm not dead, but I plan to haunt them. He blinked, nodded slowly. Then we'll start with a fraud complaint and a motion to revoke the declaration of death. It'll take time, but legally. I don't have time, I cut in, because apparently, I have a memorial this Sunday. He looked up, I didn't flinch. Earlier that day, a message came through from an unknown number. Just one line, they're holding a memorial for you next Sunday at St. Albans. No name, no explanation, but I knew the church, I knew the address. It was real. And so was my plan. I stood at the window of my apartment that night, the city lights glittering below me like sparks waiting for gasoline. They dressed me in lies, buried me in silence, pretended I never existed. But now I had a stage. Let them grieve, let them cry, let them perform. And when the curtain lifts, let's give them a funeral to remember. St. Albans had never looked so full, cars lined the street like a parade of grief. The heavy doors of the church stood open just long enough to let in mourners dressed in black, weeping, whispering, hugging each other like tragedy had touched them personally. I watched from across the street. Black coat, sunglasses. Still invisible. It was surreal, like watching a play about a character who looked like me, sounded like me, but wasn't me at all. Inside, the performance had begun. The organ played something slow and tragic. Candles flickered beneath my photo, the same one they used on the fake obituary. I remembered the day it was taken. I was smiling. For real, back then. My father stood at the pulpit, face solemn, voice just loud enough to carry. She was troubled, but we loved her. She lost her way, and though we couldn't reach her, we never stopped praying she'd come back to us. My mother sat in the front row, dabbing tears with lace-trimmed tissues like she'd practiced for weeks. Her sobs were delicate, perfect. And Sarah, she stood next, pearls clutched like they were keeping her heart from falling apart. My sister Maya was complicated, but she was mine. I wish I could have said goodbye. A lie wrapped in a tear, tied with a bow. I stepped closer to the door, just enough to hear it, The priest raised his hand solemnly. May she rest in peace. I exhaled slowly. Not yet. The show was still going. But the main character hadn't arrived. Let us now stand for a moment of silence. The priest's voice echoed through the church like a final curtain call. Everyone rose to their feet. Heads bowed. Eyes closed. Hands folded politely over hearts. And in that breathless pause, I pushed open the doors. The sound was sharp, deliberate. Two heavy oak doors groaning open like a tomb splitting in half. The cold light from outside poured into the church, spilling down the aisle like a spotlight. And I stepped into it. Slowly, deliberately. Each heel strike on the marble floor echoed like a gunshot. Click, click, click. The silence cracked open. Gasps. A few people turned, then more. Whispers bloomed like wildfire. Is that? It can't be. A child's voice pierced the tension. Mom, isn't that her? I took off my sunglasses. Eyes met mine, wide, disbelieving, terrified. My mother's face went pale, her lips trembled. Then she crumpled. A hard, theatrical faint. Her body dropped like she'd rehearsed it. My father's mouth hung open. Wine glass slipping from his fingers. It shattered against the pew. Sarah. Sarah locked eyes with me and froze. Her jaw clenched. Her pearl necklace twisted in her grip. A half-full glass of champagne tumbled from her hand and splashed across her perfect white shoes. The priest, stunned, took a step back. I kept walking. Every eye in the building followed my steps like they weren't sure if they were seeing a ghost. Or a reckoning. And maybe I was both. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. My presence was the thunder after the lie, the consequence they prayed would never come. By the time I reached the front of the aisle, the room was holding its breath. I turned, faced them all, and smiled. Let the truth begin. I stood at the front of the church, beneath my own portrait, the same photo they used to eulogize me. To bury me. I turned to face the crowd. Dozens of eyes staring at me like I'd risen from the grave. Good. Let them look. I cleared my throat once and spoke into the silence. I heard I died, but I'm here to correct the story. A ripple went through the room. No one moved. Some had phones in their hands, but forgot to blink, let alone hit record. There was no accident, no tragic car crash overseas, no closed casket because the body was unrecognizable. I pulled a folder from my coat. Thick, stamped, sealed with government marks and international dates. These are my passport stamps, my employment records, tax filings, apartment leases. I've been alive, I've been working, I've been surviving. The only thing I lost was them. I turned to my parents. They told the world I died, faked the documents, filed a certificate. And when I was legally gone, I turned my eyes to Sarah, who stood frozen, fingers clenched around her pearls. They transferred everything to her, my trust fund, my inheritance, my life. Sarah opened her mouth, tried to speak. I didn't let her. Don't enjoy the house you bought with my money. A murmur rose like thunder behind me. Someone whispered. She's got proof. Another gasped, and then a phone lifted, red dot blinking. Someone was filming. Good. Let the world see this funeral for what it really was. Not a farewell. A cover-up. You didn't lose a daughter, I said, staring my father down. You threw her away, and now, you get to watch her walk back in. The lies were ashes. And I had just lit the match. I turned back one last time. My father's face was pale. My mother still trembling in her seat. Sarah, hollow, defeated. No pearls to clutch now. You buried me to protect yourselves, I said calmly. But I came back to haunt you with the truth. No more shouting. No more lies. Just silence. Heavy. Final. As I walked out, the church bells began to ring. How fitting. A funeral bell. But this time, not for me. Montage. I handed the documents to my lawyer. Signed the final page. Watched the death certificate get torn in half. My legal resurrection was official. An investigation opened into fraud, false reporting, and embezzlement. Let them try to lie now. Voiceover, steady and quiet. Sometimes, you have to die in their world to be reborn in your own. And this time, I wasn't coming back for forgiveness. I was coming back for freedom.